Yeah,
I'm cursing at you. Why you here?
My phone call?
I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. He don't want to see you.
I want to see my son.
He don't want to see you. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer.
It's been a whole year. Let me see my son.
That's your problem.
Let me see my son.
We've been here all year. You ain't been here.
I'm done arguing with you. I'm tired of this.
Why you come here? You ain't want to argue. You already know what's going to happen when you get. Why is he recording me? Why are you recording me?
Keep recording. Because I want the world to please get all this. Please get all this.
Okay, since you getting all of this, you take care of me when?
Every month. I make
Holidays,
him clothes, birthdays, school supplies, everything he needs. Let me see my son. Enough is enough.
No. I asked you for $1,000 for not coming to no door. He know not to come to no door. He don't want to see your sorry self.
Go get my son right now.
I don't.
I'm gonna call
I bet I don't. Call him.
Call police.
How you gonna call him on the house? I pay for
it. Doesn't because I'll give you the money to pay for it.
Oh, whatever.
You don't do
whatever.
Okay. I'll give you all your money for me.
Okay, I take care of your
child. Let me see my son.
Bye.
Let me see my son.
All right, family. So we're gonna run this back and deal with the issues as we come to them. Let's go.
Yeah,
I'm cursing at you. Why you here?
My phone call.
I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. He don't want to see you.
I want to see my son.
He don't want to see you. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer.
It's been a whole year.
Already several red flags. Okay, on her part, she's standing face to face with a grown ass man who could lose his cool at any moment, and there's no way she would stand a chance, family. But this is what I call violating a person's boundaries when they clearly know who would have the upper hand if there weren't laws. So they'll take and yell in your face, scream in your face, do everything they can, violate you, call you out your name, knowing that you are the stronger of the two. But if you lose your cool, your life is gone. And this is why they'll do that. They know you got to think about all these consequences, so they will violate the hell out of you. I mean, tell you can't see your child and stand in front of your face like they're tough, knowing that would infuriate the hell out of you. If you're talking about putting a man in his ego and getting the worst out of him, that's one way to do it. But it sucks because if he does it, if he uses force in any way to just walk up in this house and grab his child, there's consequences for that. So men, second red flag is you talking. Because you know if she crosses your boundaries, if you react, it's over for you. You should never give her the grounds to do that. Why are you talking to her? This right here almost makes it seem like she does have the power because you're willing to try and talk and negotiate. She does not have the power. It's both of y'all's children. So she's right. What you should do is go get a lawyer. You shouldn't be here with a whole bunch of conversation for somebody who you know ain't about to hear you out. You know they're just going to insult and use everything they can to keep you away from the child, to leverage this child, to weaponize your child against you. Once you give bad ground your seed, you have no control, family. And the laws are set up to make it so. Let's continue.
See my son.
That's your problem.
Let me see my son.
We've been here all year. You ain't been here.
I'm done arguing with you. I'm tired of this.
Why you come here? You ain't want to argue. You already know what's going to happen when you get. Why is he recording me? Why are you recording me?
So you hear that, right? You haven't seen, I've been here a year, so that's one reason why she don't want to let the man see the baby, which that's no reason to usurp his authority or his rights to see his child. You chose that man as a father. Pick a more developed man. Now, as this goes on, he talks about how he pays child support and all that type of stuff, but man, you still got to be in your child's life. You still have to be, your child needs you. They're not going to settle for just money every month. And even as a mother, when that happens and you can see the sadness in your child's eyes, you still cannot come between that child and that father. You have to stay out of the way and allow that relationship to blossom. You can't put all of this pressure on the child by having them make an adult decision and say, you choose whether or not you want to be in this person's life. It's more like, no, that's your father. That is your father. Just like a man should say, no, that's your mother. Right now, she might have some things going on. Your mother she'll get it together soon. You don't sit here and say, I'm keeping you from the mother because she don't deserve to be a mother. And I'm going to make up all these reasons to say she don't deserve to be a mother and keep them from the child because I'm thinking this is the best way to protect my child. That's not the way to do it, even though it may feel right. You may feel like this person is not showing enough interest in the child. Even if he is spending child support or sending child support, I don't want my child to see him keep going in and out of his life and hurting his feelings, so I'm going to get in the way. You still can't. You've already chosen that man as the father. That is that child's father. You can't be the judge, jury, and executioner behind if that person can have access to his child. You're not God. You don't get to do that. It's too late. You understand? But then he says, I'm not here to argue. She said, why you come here then if you don't want to argue? Right. So why would you go? You went to see your son. But what she's trying to tell you is all you're going to get is an argument. All you're going to get is me presenting arguments as to why you can't see your son, right? We've been here a year. You didn't give me this and that when I wanted it. Or, well, this last year you did this and that. And the year before that you did this and that. No, you're not seeing your son. That's all you're going to get is an argument. Go to court, sir. Spend the money. Well, I don't got the money. Spend the money. Get the money. That's just the facts. Hard to feel sorry for you in that aspect. I can't say, well, damn, it's expensive. Well, if you want to see your child, go get the money, man. Let's continue.
Keep recording. Because I want the world to
Hold up.
please get all this. Please get all this.
Okay, well, since you getting all of this.
He says, I want the world to know. What is the world going to do about it? What is the world going to do about it? I get it. But what is the world going to do? Maybe this can get you a little bit of proof that you are trying. And so any attempts at her to ruin your name could protect you. I can get that one. But I hope you don't think it's going to make her behave in some way, because it's not. Often, when a woman behaves this way, she's scorned and she has an agenda. So for no reason is she going to let you see your child, because her agenda is to hurt you. It has nothing to do with nothing but just mostly hurting you. It ain't even that deep. But what she does is she also hurts the child. I'll go over that later. But her focus is so short. All she sees is hurting you now, and she'll destroy your whole legacy to hurt you. That's how bad it is. You get her mad, she'll ruin your whole legacy to hurt you. Okay? Take your money, which would have been inheritance to your children, get that in the form of alimony or child support. Even when you want to be there with your child, she'll still keep you from the child and want your assets to take care of the child. Yo, it's wild. And while you're giving it to her, she'll likely spend it on herself and not even the children. You see what I'm saying? This is why you got to get with somebody who you know is work withable and you know has an equal goal of seeing their children grown and having all they need because they got it from their mother and father who chose to stay together through it all. And that is the celebration. Don't deal with somebody who's just looking to get something out of you, right? They're looking at their person as a means to an end to get some type of self-fulfilled gratification or whatever, because if the moment you're not giving that to them or making them happy or appeasing them, they'll fuck up the whole legacy and leave and take half the damn money. And then raise your child outside the home. And then you got to see another man raise your child. You're not seeing a world where men are leaving women and taking the kids. And if we saw that, women would say, that's wrong. It's one thing he don't want to be with her, but he ain't have to take the kids. Just imagine if a man say, I'm not happy no more. I'm no longer happy. I'm no longer in love. You stopped doing the things you said you was going to do. I'm leaving and I'm taking the kids. And I'm going to take half of your income to be able to support those kids. Women would easily see, yo, that's messed up. But when it's happening to men, it's just life, right? He should have done more for her to still be in love with him. He shouldn't have fucked up, right? And stopped doing the small things, right? Now he deserves to have his child outside of his home so he can't truly protect him. And then his child is raised by another man who could completely ruin him. And he ain't around. Scary, man. Let's continue.
You take care of me when?
Every month, I pay him
Holidays.
birthdays, school supplies, everything he needs. Let me see my son. Enough is enough.
No. I asked you for $1,000. Not coming to no door.
Look at that, because before she said that, she said, you took care of me when? Holidays, take care of you. Yo, we're co-parenting. I don't have to take care of you. You're supposed to take care of you. Yeah, you are your priority. Your bills are your priority. Your things are your priority. But that's not on me. I'm supposed to provide for my child. I asked you for $1,000 and I don't care what you asked him for. That's not a reason to keep him from his child. You don't get to leverage the child. Well, if you don't give me this, well, you don't get to see your child. Yo, that's crazy. But let's continue.
No, he don't have to come to no door. He don't want to see your sorry self.
Go get my son right now.
I don't.
I'm gonna call
I bet I don't. Call him.
Call police.
How you gonna call him on the house? I pay for
It
it.
doesn't, because I'll give you the money to pay for it.
Oh, whatever.
You don't do
Whatever.
anything for a living. I'll
Okay.
give you all your money for me.
Okay, I take care of your
Let
child.
me see my son.
Bye.
Let me see my son.
So his son is right behind the door and he cannot see his son. Wow. And she's saying the son knows to not come out. He knows to not come out. So she has already had a conversation with him. When your daddy comes to the door, don't come out these doors. She's probably already told him a bunch of negative things about his father. Before I really get into this, my first question is going to be this. Did you take the paternity test? Did you make sure without a shadow of a doubt that it was your child? So all of the efforts that you're about to do to get your child, to get access to your child, will not be futile before you even get started. Because if you just took her word for it, this could be exactly why she's keeping you from the child, because she feels guilty. In a lot of the court cases that I see, where the woman is saying you cannot see the child for all of these reasons, when the man gets paternity, he's normally not the father. And so I think that a lot of that is behind the mother saying you are the father, and then later regretting it, and then trying to do whatever she can to keep the child from forming that bond with the man, or even, you know, not really allowing the man to form a emotional bond with the child, but they'll take his money. You see, so if I'm in a situation where it feels like she's coming up with all these reasons why I can't see my child, before I go to the edge of the world, turning over every rock and stone, I'm going to see if the child is mine. And I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking with her to discover that either. This behavior can involve keeping the parent away from the children for any reason, with the exception being clear physical and mental abuse. What they'll do is they'll keep the parent away from the child by using ambiguous reasons, right? You haven't done enough to be there for the child. You missed this much time, and you did this or you did that. And they'll use these excuses as reasons to usurp your authority to see your child, right? This behavior can include directly pressuring the child to spy on the abused parent, okay? And often the parent will be threatening the other parent that you'll never see your child again, okay? The way a parent can weaponize a child would involve them turning the child against the other parent, directly against the other parent. In this case, the abuser makes the child believe that the other parent never loved them. Just remember the time that old girl told my brother's daughter that he never loved her, that he was just on videos with her to go viral? Like that. Get inside their head, okay? Distort their reality, okay? The child is more likely to connect with the person who's appearing to be traumatized or victimized, so they don't know if they're coming or going normally. But this is abuse to the child and the other parent. Many people don't notice this. They normally see the person who's doing these acts as the abused, trying to protect, but they're actually the abuser trying to victimize. Do you understand? This is called parental alienation, guys. It makes the child feel betrayed, angry, or hurt towards the alienated parent. And it's much worse because what will happen is through that trauma, they'll form a bond with the parent who's actually compromising half of their identity. It's truly sad because what it does to a child is just severe. Here's some of the things that it'll do to your child when you do this as parents, because in the moment, we're thinking of hurting that person. But I want you to know what you're indirectly doing to your future self, all right? When we leverage or weaponize our children, here's what it does, family. Okay, they lose trust in their own memories, which means a great loss of self-confidence, okay? This experience with the abused parent, because it's at odds with what the abuser is leading them to believe, many adults who were alienated from a parent as a child reports feeling helpless and disconnected from their emotions and having problems trusting other people. Why wouldn't you? If your parent told you lies about your other parent and you were emotionally invested in that, and you begin to discover that stuff might not be true or looks like it could not be true, and you sitting here having to decide what you want to let go of or hold on to, and you weren't there for any of it, but you got to sit here and choose a side, and absolutely it will cause you to not trust people. Loss of innocence. You ever hear the people say, "You're not letting my child be a child"? Well, that's what you're doing here, okay? It's when the abusive parent takes away the child's innocence by exposing them to ideas and behaviors that are not age appropriate or, in fact, appropriate at all. The abuser may ask the child to make an adult level decision, such as choosing whether to have a relationship with the other parent. Abusive parents can also neglect the developmental needs of the child, such as encouraging independence, and sometimes make the child care for the needs of the parent. Okay, another one is loss of parental connection. When a child becomes alienated from their parent, they begin to reject half of their identity because they are hurt and angry, and it is too painful to acknowledge that connection. The child also rejects the important parental bond the abused parent had provided. This loss of connection and sense of shared identity has substantial short and long-term negative effects, such as unresolved grief and low self-esteem. I've seen it before. I grew up with a girl who believed that her father threw her from a moving car, her and her mother from a moving car, and she didn't speak to her father for nearly her life, only to discover once she was in her 30s that it was completely untrue. So I know exactly what that one means, okay? I've been there. I've seen that one. Loss of wider family links. As the child becomes more distant from the abused parent, the child also can lose relationships with the extended family. Wow. And social networks. The child is deprived of the types of experiences and opportunities that these related individuals can provide, such as social support and professional opportunities possible through their social networks. This is crazy, man. So you're talking about ruining a whole legacy or lineage on many levels because the child feels this alienation or this pain or hurt or betrayal from their parent. They won't get close to the other family members that are connected to that parent. So they literally lose half of their identity, not just the father, but the whole tribe. Okay, they'll have negative emotions towards them. That's crazy, man. And think about this. We're always saying we need unity in our communities, right? So if unity is spending together, working together, having businesses together, forming alliances, then you can see how the words come to life, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, right? Because through separating the parent from the child, if they're gonna lose connection with the whole family line because of that, then yeah, they do lose out on opportunities to build and cooperate, grow, spend, all those things you would call unity is completely destroyed all through just one parent making a decision to alienate another. So when I talk about how we must be held accountable for our actions because our actions are directly destroying the community, many people don't get what I'm saying. They care more about they care more about the person, the victimizer, the person doing the damage. They care more about their feelings and what names they would get called and the shame that they would feel, instead of caring about the future consequences, which would really ultimately affect everyone in the family and in the community. That means even the people who not kin to you, they will be affected by these actions. Loss of social connection. Some abusers socially isolate their children, homeschooling them, limiting their friendships, or even relocating or abducting them to another state or country. When that happens, the child can lose all their formal social, educational, recreational, and cultural connections, unable to grieve the loss of the alienated parent openly because of the abusive alliance they have formed with the abusive parent. Wow. The child often suffers alone. They can't even mourn the loss of an abusive parent or what they were told because they're so connected to the other parent, they believe they can't even show it, so they end up suffering it alone. That is crazy, man. What's to be done? To friends and relatives, a situation in which children are weaponized can be confusing or even appear as the reverse of what is actually happening. Outsiders might not recognize the role of the abuser and think that the abused parent is in fact rejecting the child or is somehow otherwise at fault. When you see a person doing these things to keep a parent away from their child, involving their child in the narrative, in the emotion of it all, you need to understand that even if that parent is a victim of abuse to the other parent, that is abusing the child. It is not a child's business, family. You are taking your child's innocence when you give them these stories that telling them their father or mother ain't telling them their father and mother ain't nothing, that they're gonna be just like their good for nothing mother or father. It's just horrible, okay? For those of you who believe it's okay to give your children that trauma, let me give you some examples, okay? The same way that ladies will say, your daddy ain't S, he was a drug dealer, he hit me, he cheated on me. Imagine the flip side. The father looks at the children and says, your mama is a hoe. Your mama cheated on me. Your mama called the police on me and I never did anything to her. Your mama lied on me. Your mama tricked the baby on me. Just imagine that. Do you think your child needs that information? Because that's their mother regardless, right? So I want you guys to see the other side, because normally in the comments, y'all be trying to act like that's okay. So if it's okay when y'all do it, then it's okay if he does it, right? So now when the father actually or mother actually sees the child to be able to connect with them, the child has a wall up that's literally built by the other parent. Yo, it's nuts because we're not considering our other half. You're raising your child to hate their other parent or to believe their parent is not good, is not worthy somehow, is not a good person, is a bad person. I'm telling you, man, I believe it's important that we speak highly of our co-parents to our children. Bring out the best, because that brings out the best in your child. When you go and tell your child that their daddy wasn't shit, yo, it's kind of like destroying them as well. I'm gonna say this. This is very common in our communities. I saw it growing up, didn't know what I was seeing. I always thought that the father was the bad guy when this happens to him. Now that I'm older and I have more understanding, I can see now it is not always the guy. It is in large part the mothers who push these men away after giving these men a child. After laying with these men and carrying these children 9 months and bringing these children to life, they will keep these children from their fathers, often saying that they can't be the father for some reason that they determine why. They be the judge, jury, and executioner. And often the men back then didn't have the funds to be able to go about getting their child back, or even after getting the funds, things didn't go their way in court. Because in this world, in this Western world, once a man gives his seed to a woman, in most states, the child belongs with the mother. That's what it is. So a man just simply has to choose better, and that's the only precaution that he can take, because he don't really have any options after that don't come with severe consequences. You understand? It's truly sad, because we've all witnessed it, but we witness it when it happened, and we see the turmoil that it does to the family, to the father, to the child. But when we discover that it was lies on the father, we don't really come to his redemption. We don't really talk about how wrong that mother was, or penalize her in any way for all the years of damage that she done to that man and that child and that whole entire family, that lineage. Why? Why don't we stand up as a tribe, as a village, and correct that person, woman or man, for what she did to that child and that family? We got to stop being biased if we want healthy communities, family. What you guys are saying is that men got to be accountable to all their actions, but women don't. And that's going to create an unbalanced world, family. Do you understand? I'm hoping that you guys get this. I'm going to share this clip before I end this video. It's a woman talking about my brother and his ex's situation, and she's actually giving him a formal apology for how she went in head first, accusing him of things that she was accusing him of before she knew the truth. And she's asking, why is nobody apologizing? Because in droves, they were there to convict, okay? But when the truth comes out, they're not there to hold her accountable or apologize to him. It just goes away. All that does is tells women that they can do whatever they want and get away with it. And the scary part about that, women, is they'll use that on you. They'll do that to you too. Then what you gonna do? So it's like y'all defending it because it's happening to men, but then when it come right back to you and that same person's doing it to y'all, now what? And just remember, you fueled that behavior and acted like it was okay. But when it's happening to you, you don't like it. Let's stop it, period, because we all gotta live in this community. Peace.
Domestic violence is not a joke. You guys remember the Truth and Brianna saga? The domestic violence saga, where she called the cops and said that he beat her and he had a gun, and then the world found out she lied. The world owes that man an apology, because we tore him apart. We tore him down. We beat him down. I know I did. My brother, I'm sorry. Now that we know that the truth is out there and she lied, and the lies keep coming and the lies keep coming, she should be ashamed of herself. This man tried to stand in front of this. When she brought it to social media, he still tried to save her ass and said, no, it's a skit. He tried to protect his family. But in that moment, he was a black man trying to protect his family. And why didn't that black woman listen to that black man? Why don't we black women respect our black men? Why do we disregard what they say? Why isn't their word golden? Why have we not been transitioned to listen to our black man? Because she should have said, okay, husband, and logged off. Y'all get over there and apologize to that man.